Okay, hey everyone, my name is Austin, a senior product designer here at GitLab. I work on the compliance group, and today I want to do a little presentation on the subject of it's never too late to pivot. So maybe this is a little bit relevant to like Daniel's point with the previous presentation. So to help set the stage here a little bit, I'm going to walk through an illustrative example that kind of will help you understand the problem that I was trying to solve in a way that we understand it as GitLab team members. So when we're working on merge requests, we use GitLab bot to really help us kind of coach our merge requests along. It gives us feedback on things that we need to fix before we're ready to merge. But that's not exactly how other companies do things. So it's worth considering that for other companies or customers or users of GitLab, that they don't have a GitLab bot kind of coaching them through how to get a merge request to completion. There are instances where they're using external services to make sure that there's some validation checks in place to ensure that the right code is being merged to production, which is requiring developers or people to look outside of GitLab to verify that things are good to go before they hit the merge button. So that was kind of the problem that was set in front of me to address about this time last year. And so honestly, I thought I had the right solution. I had gone through the validation track. I had verified our ideas around this problem with customers. We had heard good feedback from people collaborating in the issue. And I felt pretty confident by the end of 2020 that we were ready to move into the build track. So it sat on the shelf for a bit, sat there for a few months. And eventually we got to the point where we were ready to start building it. So as you can kind of see on the right-hand side here, there were several milestones in which we planned to start creating this. The problem is, as we started building, I kept in touch with code review specifically because this was really impactful on the merge request experience itself. And I learned some new things that changed my perspective on whether or not this was the right solution. And so at some point, we had to make some painful decisions to decide to pivot away from what we were building. And this is kind of a story of how we progressed through that. So as we're going into 13.9, 13.10, we've got all these implementation issues planned. We're working on it. And Kai was kind enough to bring back some feedback to help me understand what the intent of approval rules were supposed to be. So in my head, I was thinking, oh, let's do the most like minimal thing. Let's reuse an existing feature, tuck my new thing in there, and it'll be great. Because in my head, I'm thinking this is like an approval rule. It's essentially giving you a way to approve whether or not a merge request is ready to move forward. So Kai was helping me better understand that it's not exactly the same. Like you take action in a merge request to approve something specifically. And that's not the same as like doing a check for something on something like CI where it needs to like pass or fail. So really we needed to kind of go back to the drawing board about the solution in the first place. We knew that functionally it was kind of solving the problem. It was helping expose this external system telling you whether or not something had passed or not. But the solution of exactly how it was designed and where it was landing wasn't great. So we had a number of discussions happening in a GitLab issue and Epic. Once we had reached like a pretty long thread, we said, okay, we need to have a sync meeting on this. So that's where Pedro really helped me bring things back into focus by reminding me to keep my horizons broad. He was helping me better look at some of the competitor products that we have surrounding this feature. And it was pretty obvious that they were doing something similar, which helped give us some inspiration for how we could better integrate this feature into GitLab itself. And then from there, we really focused on how we could iterate by moving forward. And this is what I thought was a great example of upholding our results value. So our plan was, as we were building through it, we were going to continue building the functionality as it was initially designed behind a feature flag and not remove the feature flag until we had reached a state in which code review and compliance both felt that it was appropriate to expose it to users. So after 13.9, 13.10, 13.11, we came up with some following issues. I don't think this is a holistic list. I just tried to grab a few to kind of show like how we moved, like kind of lift and shifted the feature to a different place that we felt was a better place for it. This did delay, I guess you could say, the releasing of the feature. However, it is ultimately for a better solution. And I think that's a good enough reason to call a pivot when we needed to. And engineering was really great about this. When we brought the problem to them and told them what we were facing, they were like, hey, we'd rather bite the bullet now. It'll save us tech debt down the road. And ultimately, we can solve this quicker. So like I said, I think this is a good demonstration of our results value. We kept a bias for action by continuing to ask hard questions while still developing the feature that we thought was functionally serving the right purpose. We are embracing the uncertainty of we don't know 100% what the perfect solution is, but not having the solution at all is worse than not having it in the product. And then we disagreed, we committed on a path forward, and then we continue to disagree on a way to continue to refine this. So we have more issues that better look at the holistic experience of how we bring in these different checks and approvals into the merge request experience. But it at least allowed us to move forward on this whole feature in of itself. I just wanted to highlight a diff of how it looked when we kind of started and where we're going to be moving. So initially, we were calling this approval gates. It was going to be tied into the merge request approvals. You could see a various number of services that you were sending a payload to, whether or not they sent a positive or negative feedback response on. Now it's going to be part of the merge request reports, which makes more sense functionally in terms of how it's presenting information. We definitely want to expand features in it, but this just kind of gives you a way to see side by side what we initially were going after, how we got course corrected with code review, and then how we kind of pivoted towards a better solution. And what we've heard so far is that users really love the feature. They're kind of sad to see it in Ultimate because they're on premium, but I guess that's just a sign that we're creating features that people want. So with that, I'd love to hear if there are any questions.